Hey everyone, I'm just doing this video, just a quick little one to show the basic setup of a positioner. I'm hoping to make a few more videos to show you how to do a bit of fault finding on positioners, especially since there's a little thing inside there called a pilot valve, and we have trouble with that sometimes. That could save you a lot of money if you know how to change that out, why you change it out, rather than changing out the whole positioner body. So we're just going to go through some of the parts. So what I've got here is just a test setup pretty much that I've put together. I use this to test overhauled pilot valves or pilot relays. So as you can see, it's got the positioner on top, the actuator, but it doesn't have a valve at the bottom. I've left that open because I don't need the valve on there for testing. All I need to do is get the actuator to move and get some feedback from there back into the positioner, just for testing. So pretty much that's normally what a setup would look like, a traditional setup in the field with a valve at the bottom. It could be a butterfly valve like this one, could be a ball valve. Once you start getting into gates that you need to open, you don't use one of these type of actuators. You will use a ram, as some people might call it, and then you have a very long feedback arm attached to that, and there's a bit of calculation involved to see how long that arm needs to be and where you need to mount that. I'm not sure if we're going to get to that in any later videos. We'll see. I'm not going to cover much of that right now. We're just going to go through this little setup here. So what I'm going to do is I'm also going to open the lid so we can have a look inside. Just have a quick talk about what's going on here. Right, so I've taken this lid off, and you can see on the inside here, so this is the pilot valve that I've been talking about. Can't say for sure, but I believe it's called a pilot valve because this is what actually steers this bit of machinery. So it decides to put air out, output 1 or 2, as we can see here. That goes to the actuator to tell it to turn clockwise or counterclockwise. Right, so that's pretty much the little unit that decides where the air goes and how much of it goes there. So from that little pilot valve, there's obviously a few springs involved. This spring is loose. When you change this pilot valve out, you've got to be careful you don't lose this little spring. I'll show you how to manually actuate this positioner in the field even. It's important for fault finding to know that you can do this, and toggling this little arm here, which doesn't really move much. I'll see if I can get a bit closer. That's the extent of the movement. That gives you full movement in one direction and then full movement in the other direction with the springs. That's not much, but it does work. There's a little cam here, as you can see it reading RA on the top of the plate. That means reverse actuating. The other side of the plate, if you flip it over, is direct actuating. So what that pretty much means, as you can see, this cam is not a perfect circle. It's longer here and shorter there, but if you turn it around, the 0 will be here, 100% will be over there, and she works a little bit differently, which I'll probably also cover in future videos if needed, if there's a need for it. I'd like to, So yeah, what else we have in here? Down the bottom here, there's a big strong magnet and a coil. From that coil comes two wires. This one it's set up onto this terminal block. Let's see if I can get a bit closer. Now it might look wrong because there's a black wire in the positive and a white wire in the negative. So for some people, especially in Australia, that is the wrong way around. What that really is international standards, so just something to look out for. If you get to a position after someone's had a go and they can't fix it, they might have seen that, thought it was the wrong way around and thought they fixed it, didn't fix the problem, and then left the wiring the way they thought it would be. So it's just something else to look out for. Now there's two arms here, the one that says span on it, and there would be your span adjustment, because with these things we always need a span adjustment. And where it's sitting there is pretty much where it sits when you buy a new positioner, and they set up for actuators like this that pretty much give you a 90-degree range of motion. That's how they come standard. Obviously you might need to change it depending on what you are moving or actuating. Right, so there's another arm underneath there with a little wheel that runs at the back there, and as this feedback arm here moves, when the actuator moves, it's going to turn this cam that we see here that says reverse acting. Reverse acting is a standard setup. So as that moves, it is going to lengthen this distance from the center to the end here, longer here, shorter there. So as this cam moves across counterclockwise to open, because she's shut at the moment, it's going to pull on this lever. I'm pushing it a lot, obviously, just so you can see it move. But yeah, so when that happens, it pulls on that bottom arm, which tensions up this spring, which is going to pull on this toggle over here, and a bit of a counter spring there. And what happens pretty basically is your 4 to 20 milliamp signal goes to this coil, which would move this arm into a specific point. That translates through to this pilot valve. It decides where to put air. It's going to move the actuator. That feedback arm is going to pull this cam across. It's going to pull this counter lever back, and it's going to pull that coppery looking spring there back up to a point where this finds an equilibrium, so that the pilot valve stops sending more air one way rather than the other. So as it gets closer to its position, this arm would move closer and closer into the right position. The mechanical feedback balances against the 4 to 20 signal through this little toggle arm, and when that reaches an equilibrium, that's when the pilot valve stops sending air to the actuator, and it sits where you want it to sit, whether it be 25%, 50%, 75, 100, or any other number you can think of. So that's pretty much just the basic operation of that. Obviously, I don't have a valve on here, I don't have it hooked up, but as you can imagine, with the valve in there, it's going to, that hollow shaft is going to turn the shaft on the valve and make the butterfly valve open, or whatever other valve you have. So yeah, that's pretty much the basic setup and parts of this. If there's anything else you'd like to know, let me know and I'll see what I can do. Now, I'm not an absolute expert on these things. All I'm trying to do is share the information that I have, that I've built up over a few years by playing with these things myself, doing a bit of research and listening to other people. I've got some bad advice from some people. Some people didn't understand how things work. They just followed a process without understanding it, and it only gets you that far. So yeah, like I said, if you can, please let me know what you think. If there's anything specific you'd like covered, if you have any questions, I'll do my very best to answer them. But what I'm thinking of doing in future is basic fault finding. When you walk up to one of these in the field and they say it's not working, the whole process of understanding what the operator is trying to tell you, having a look to see yourself what's going on, and just basic steps that you can go through, hopefully in a way that makes sense, a way that will save you time, in a way that will immediately eliminate some areas of fault finding so that you can focus on the path that's going to help you to solve the problem. And you can go through absolutely everything, but I think if you find a way to find the right things to look at, you can eliminate certain areas or help you go into the right direction. So let me know what you guys think.